Welcome to the EZCODE Projects series setup video number 6. In this video, we'll create a module for our code.js file so that we limit the exposure of our code from the browser code. If you have not done so already, please complete the previous EZCODE Projects series setup videos. For those of you that have done so, let's begin. Let's open VS Code and load the EZCODE directory. Remember where you put it. We just want the main directory open. Open our code.js file to the right. Add a variable to the top of our file. Const, we'll call it text, and it's going to equal a string. Let's save our work and load the view HTML in the browser. Go ahead and save. Open the browser. Let's find the view. And in the developer console, let's open that up. Select the console and type out test. Note how we get the value we just created. The test variable is available in the global scope. What would happen if we created a variable that had the same name as something in the global scope, something in the browser? It would overwrite the existing value. And the larger our code base becomes, the more likely we may run into an issue. We need a way to protect our code and the global scope to keep any possible naming collisions to a minimum. We still need to add our code to the global scope, but we only need to add one item that we can then reference to get into our code base. In the developer console, in the browser, type out the following. We're going to create a function. Don't tab or it'll add too much information. We want the parentheses. We just want a squiggly, and we're going to return a string. And then close the brace. This is a function declaration. I'm going to click enter. Notice how the browser tries to help and say, uncaught syntax error. Function statements require a function name. Functions don't actually need names, but they are almost impossible to use without a way to call them. Consider if you didn't have a name. How would someone get a hold of you? I didn't assign the function to any variable, so there's no variable to call. So what use is an unnamed function? Well, there is a use case for unnamed functions. So now let's create an IIFE, or immediately invoked function expression, in the developer console. This time I'm going to wrap the function declaration in parentheses first. So I'm going to create both of those and then go inside it. Function, parentheses again, curly braces, return string, hello EZCODE, closing braces. And we can see already the browser wants to return the function declaration, but we want to call it. And to call a function, we append at the end two parentheses. Now note there is already a value that was already showing, and we've actually created the declaration and then invoked it. And so that's why we have hello EZCODE returned. Now that we know how to encapsulate code, let's wrap our code.js file in an IIFE. In the code.js file, add the following. So let's go to our code.js file. We're going to begin at the top, and we're going to create a const EZCODE equals, and now we're going to start our IIFE. So again, parentheses. However, I need the end of this parenthesis to be at the bottom. So I'm going to delete this one for now. I'm going to start creating the function with its own parentheses, new line, curly brace. You remember that one? We're going to get rid of the closing for now. And what we're going to do is we're just going to move these over because now they're inside of this function. And so we're going to start reversed now. We're going to do curly braces. You can see that we're closing to this one, and then parentheses. You can see we're closing to this parentheses, and then we're going to go and call the function and end it with a semicolon. And one more thing we're going to do is just go up here. I'm going to make a new line, and we're going to return something just like the string that we returned in the browser. But this time we're going to return an object. I'm going to open those up, and might as well get our semicolon down there while we can. And we're going to return a key value pair. So in an object like this, an object literal, we have a key of test. That's what we're going to make up. And we're going to assign the value that we created on line 3, which is the const test hello EZCode. It may seem confusing. Just keep going over it, and we'll flush this out as we go. So I'm going to save our work and refresh the browser. Go back to the browser. And we've refreshed. Now we're going to type out test once again. And we can see test is not defined. So test is not exposed anymore, even though we did create it. So how do we get the value of test then? We exposed const EZCode, which is the variable that contains what was returned by the immediately invoked function expression. In the developer console, type EZCode. All right, so let's go with that one. We do have something there. It already wants to tell me that it has something. That's good. And we can see our exposed EZCode module. So now let's type out test and enter, and we can see it's exposed only through the EZCode global variable, or module in this case. So probably we have at least lowered the possibility that we could have naming collisions with the browser, as it probably does not have a module called EZCode. Well, great. Now let's practice adding something else to the module. In the code.js file, return statement. So let's go back there. We're in the return statement. All right. And let's just add the function that we have here already, load, L-O-A-D, and then I'm going to type it out again. This might seem like it's a duplicate in some way, but again, these are key value pairs. I could have named this load or test on the left side anything I wanted to. And then in the browser, I would call EZCode, let's say test was butter. It would be EZCode.butter, which would give us the test, the actual value of what we have assigned to test. So on the right side is what we have internally. On the left side is what we have externally. Since the key and value of load are spelled the same, we can use shorthand and JavaScript will do the work for us. So let's change these again, because in this case, they're the same. So what we can do in JavaScript is we can just get rid of this, and now it understands that the key is test and the value is test. So it knows what to grab inside this file, and it knows what to expose. So for both of these, since they're named identically to what they are inside the file, and that's what we're exposing, we can just do test and load. Again, if I wanted to add another key value, I could just easily do that the normal way of doing it. But just in case you come across this and you only see one item in there, it's because it will expand, become test : test or load : load. Okay, let's save our work. In the developer console, type EZCode and enter. Okay, let's go back there and do EZCode once again and enter. What did we forget to do? Refresh the browser. Let's refresh it quick. EZCode again, and we can already see that we have test and load exposed as we expected. Let's call it. We can see that it returns, okay, so we're going to call this here. We're going to say EZCODE, and let's call the load, and it's a function. If I don't add the parentheses and I hit enter, I'm just going to get the declaration. Sometimes you'll be able to see what's inside of it, sometimes not. So in this case, I do know it's a function and load, but we need to invoke it. So I'll up arrow to get the thing I typed before and add the parentheses. And let's see what happens. We can see that it runs the method by appending another div to our view container, just as we would expect. Let's try that again. Up arrow, enter, up arrow, enter, up arrow, enter. Now we have a way to scope our code base so as not to pollute the global scope. Let's clean up our code.js file by removing what we don't need in our template. In the code.js file, all right, let's go there. And we're going to remove the test variable. So let's go to line 3, and we're going to delete that line here. And I'm also just going to get rid of that extra space. And then let's get rid of the test and load, and then just close this up to be an empty object that we're going to return from the EZCODE function. And this will be just for our template. When we go through the project series, we'll probably be adding quite a few different items to the returned object. But for templates, we're going to keep it very simple so we can update it as needed. So let's save our work and refresh the browser to assure everything works. Save that. Oop, we're on that one here. There we go. Refresh. And great, we still have greetings to all of you and an empty console. You have completed the EZCODE Projects series setup videos. You are now ready to take on an EZCODE project. We will be adding more and more projects as time permits. Remember to always go over each video and each file multiple times so the content starts to sink in. You can always make a copy of the template directory and then make any changes you wish. Breaking the codebase is the best way to learn. The actual projects series videos will begin with VS Code already open and the EZCODE directory added. So be certain you know how to prepare your code editor before each video. Programming gets easier and easier the more you do it. Even 10 minutes a day can quickly accelerate your learning. If you enjoyed this video, click like and then subscribe buttons to get notifications of new content. Good luck, and I'll see you in our next project.